Welcome back, guys. Good evening. Welcome to Agnipath. So, as part of geography, we're going to complete the unit 3, that is climate and vegetation, and the chapter 4, that is climate. So, let us learn this, let us decode this from very basic level. Chalo, let's go. So, so let us begin. ठीक है so chalo so why do we drink more water in summer? Why do we drink more water in summer? Any guesses? Because it is hot, right? Because the temperature will be hot, so that's why we generally drink more water, right? ठीक है. Now, why do we wear woolen clothes in winter? Because the temperature is low. Now, why does Kerala not experience the same climate as Rajasthan? Why? This is where the chapter begins. Okay? India is a very large country. Therefore, all parts of India do not experience the same weather conditions. For example, Rajasthan, you can see extremely hot summers, Ladakh extremely cold winters, Kerala comparatively moderate temperature, and Meghalaya extremely heavy rainfall, and Thar desert very low rainfall, right? So the first idea is India has a common overall climate pattern but significant regional variations. Okay? India has a common overall climate pattern, ठीक है, but significant regional variations. I hope it's visible. ठीक है. So this is the central theme of the chapter. Now let us see the difference weather versus climate. Weather versus climate. So you have to understand this concept. So weather it's a condition of the atmosphere at a particular moment or for a short period. Okay. Condition of the atmosphere at a particular moment or for a short period. ठीक है. It's a condition of the atmosphere at a particular moment or for a short period. Example, today it's raining in Hyderabad, so that is weather. So weather can change very quickly. Morning could be sunny, afternoon cloudy, evening rainy. All of these changes can happen on the same day. Now, what is climate? What is climate then? Weather we have understood. What is climate? Climate, it's average weather conditions of a place over a long period of time. Okay? It's an average weather conditions of a place. Average weather conditions of a place over a long period of time. Okay? So generally we study climate over a long period, often 30 years more. Remember, often 30 years. Remember. So let's take example. Rajasthan has a hot and dry climate. So this does not mean it is hot every single minute of every single day. It means that when we study the weather conditions over a long period, we find that the region is generally hot, dry, or low in rainfall. So therefore, weather is your mood today. Remember, climate is your personality over many years. Simple. Like your mood can change quickly. your overall personality changes slowly. Similarly, weather changes quickly, climate changes slowly. Okay, so that is what difference between weather and climate. Now let us see what is monsoon. What is monsoon? Let's go. Now we come to the most important word in this chapter, monsoon. Okay, so the word monsoon is derived from the Arabic word mausim. Mausam, you can call mausam or mausim. It's called I mean it means season. Okay, it means season. But in geography, monsoon refers specifically to seasonal reversal in the direction of winds. Okay, monsoon refers to seasonal reversal in the direction of winds. Okay, so this is a key definition. So just remember. So let us understand with example. Suppose summer land becomes extremely hot, right? Hot land creates low pressure, and the surrounding ocean has relatively high pressure. So winds move from ocean to land. Okay, in summer. So these winds bring moisture and rainfall. Remember, but let us also see winter. Winter, land becomes cooler, right? Land develops high pressure, and the ocean is relatively warmer. So winds reverse land to ocean. So this reversal of wind direction is the basic idea of monsoon. So remember, monsoon is seasonal reversal of winds, not simply rain. This is very important point. So many students think monsoon means rain. No, but actually monsoon is a wind system. Rainfall is one of its major effects. ठीक है चलो let us see what is unity and diversity in the monsoon climate. What is unity and diversity in the monsoon climate? Chalo. India has monsoonal climate. And this means that the climate of India is strongly influenced by the seasonal reversal of winds. Okay, and this creates unity. Okay, all right. India has monsoonal climate. Okay, and this means that the climate of India is strongly influenced by seasonal reversal of winds. Okay, and this creates unity. Almost the entire country experiences the broad cycle of summer, monsoon, winter, retreating monsoon. So there is a common climatic rhythm, but at the same time India is extremely diverse. Temperature variation, NCERT gives very powerful examples. Okay, Rajasthan in summer, temperature may rise up to approximately 55 degrees. I'll write Rajasthan, not to write, but I'll just write Rajasthan in summer, it will go approximately 56 degree. It's very high, temperature will be very high. For example, Leh in winter, it will be the temperature may fall approximately minus 45 degrees. Very cold. That is a difference. That's a difference of almost 100 degrees centigrade. Now compare Churu. Rajasthan. Okay, on a June day, it will be around 50 degree. Okay, and Tawang, let's take this to AP, Arunachal Pradesh. Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh, on the same June day, it will be around 19 degrees centigrade. So on the same day, two places in India can have completely different temperatures. And what else? And this is also day-night variation. What is day night variation? Let us see. Day night variation. So there is also variation between day and night. So third desert example, day temperature around 50 degrees centigrade, night temperature may fall by 15 to 20 degrees. Why? Because desert areas have dry air, have little moisture, have fewer clouds. During the day the land heats rapidly, right? At night heat escapes rapidly, therefore large daily temperature range. It's that simple. So let's take Kerala and Andaman Island. Kerala and Andaman Island. Andaman Island. So yeah. So the difference between day and night may be only 7 to 8 degree centigrade. Big why? What is the reason? Because they are surrounded by the sea. Okay. Water heats and cools slowly. So the sea acts as a temperature moderator. This is called the moderating influence of the sea. Okay. This is called moderating influence of the sea. Influence of the sea. Chalo. So then we have regional variation in rainfall. Other concept, regional variation in rainfall. Now let us compare rainfall. Cherrapunji and Mysinara, these places receive more than 1080 centimeter of rainfall annually, and they are among the wettest regions in the world. Just remember this. Cherrapunji. they are the wettest. Okay? They are the wettest regions in the world. Just remember, they'll receive more than 1080 centimeter of rainfall annually. Okay? So we have Jaisalmer. Jaisalmer may receive less than 9 centimeter of rainfall. Jaisalmer, it will receive very low, less than 9 centimeter of rain annually. So India has places with extremely heavy rainfall and places with extremely low rainfall. And we have what else? What I have to take? There is other place, that is Tura in Meghalaya. Okay? Tura in Meghalaya. Okay? So Tura may receive in a single day rainfall which is equals to approximately 10 years of rainfall in Jaisalmer. Think about this. One day in Meghalaya can receive rainfall equivalent to 10 years of rainfall in Jaisalmer. So this is the diversity of Indian climate. Okay? So what else we have? Yeah, there are variations regarding regional variations in seasonal patterns. Sorry about my background. Very sorry. So regional variations in seasonal patterns. So India does not receive rainfall at the same time everywhere. So for example, Ganga Delta and coastal Odisha may receive strong rain-bearing storms almost every third or fifth day during July and August. So for example, Tamil Nadu coast, it receives much of its rainfall during October to December. Why? Because Tamil Nadu receives important rainfall from northeast monsoon and retreating monsoon. Let TN. It will receive its important rainfall from northeast monsoon and retreating monsoon. Okay. So this is an extremely important exam point. So when the most of India is receiving rainfall from the southwest monsoon, Tamil Nadu remains relatively dry. So later during October to November, Tamil Nadu receives substantial rainfall. Okay. So let us summarize. India has unity because the entire country is influenced by the monsoon system. So there is a common seasonal rhythm. Winds reverse seasonally, and diversity because different regions experience different temperatures, rainfall amounts, seasonal timing, duration of seasons. So the best conclusion is India has a monsoonal climate. Okay, but this monsoonal climate has significant regional variation. Significant regional variations. Okay. So the monsoon creates a common climatic rhythm across India, but latitude, altitude, distance from the sea, relief, and other factors modify the climate from place to place. Just remember, okay? So what is weather? It's a short-term atmospheric condition. What is climate? It's a long-term average weather condition. And what else? What else? Monsoon. Monsoon means seasonal reversal of winds. So India has a monsoonal climate. India shows both unity and regional diversity in climate. Okay. So let us move to the other concept. That is factors determining the climate of India. Factors determining the climate of India. The climate of India. Factors determining the climate of India. So now we know that India has one broad monsoon climate, but different places have different climates. So the question is, why is Rajasthan different from Kerala? Why is Delhi different from Mumbai? Why is Darjeeling cooler than Agra? So even though they are almost on the same latitude, right? So the answer is different factors. Different factors control the climate. So NCERT discusses the major factors one by one. Chalo, let's go. The first one is latitude. We have discussed in the first chapter. So let us understand the basic principle. What happens near the equator? Near the equator, the sun's rays fall more directly, right? At the equator, the sun rays fall directly. So therefore, more concentrated solar energy. Okay? More concentrated solar energy will be there. Solar energy. And what else? More heating will be there. Higher temperatures in that region. Okay? And what happens towards the pole? The sun's rays fall more obliquely. Directly here, the sun rays fall directly on equator. Towards the pole, the sun rays fall obliquely. Okay? So the same amount of solar energy gets spread over a large area. Therefore, there will be less heating, right? Less heating. And what else? Lower temperatures in that specific regions. Okay? Now, so what can I take an example? Let us discuss with a basic example. So take a torch light and shine it directly on a table. The light is concentrated in a small area, right? Now tilt the torch. The same light spreads over a large area. Instead of this, tilt that torchlight and the heating becomes less intense. Okay? And that is essentially what happens with solar rays at different latitudes. So now the Tropic of Cancer passes through the central part of India. So therefore India is divided into two broad climatic zones. We have know that. Okay? Alright. India and the Tropic of Cancer. I have discussed very fundamentally in the first chapter. Try to watch that. If you have any doubts, ask me in the comment. So, the Tropic of Cancer passes through the central part of India. Okay? Therefore, India is divided into two broad climatic zones. What are those? The first one is north of Tropic of Cancer. Okay? The second one is south of Tropic of Cancer. ठीक है. So the north of Tropic of Cancer is a subtropical and temperate influence, whereas the south of Tropic Cancer it's a tropical influence. ठीक है, right here it has subtropical and temperate influence, whereas this is tropical influence. So the southern part is closer to the equator, therefore it experiences relatively high temperatures throughout the year. The northern point, whereas farther from the equator, it is farther, nearer. Okay, because of it is farther from the equator, it experiences greater seasonal variations. So remember this: South India, smaller annual temper. I'll write so that you will get a overview. Smaller annual temperature range. It is in South India. South India has smaller annual temperature range. But what about North India? It has greater annual temperature range. Okay. It is North India. Okay. So why? Because South India is closer to the equator and surrounded by the sea on 3 sides. Remember, sea on 3 sides. Now let's go. So you learn about the Himalaya mountains. This is one of the most important factors. The Himalayans influence India climate in 2 major ways. Okay, I'll write. We have already discussed this, but again I'm gonna give you an overview so that you can understand. So the Himalayan mountains generally influence Indian climate in 2 major ways. One is they block cold winds. Remember this, very important. They block cold winds. Now look at the location of Himalayas. I don't have map right now. So they are located in the north of India. Behind the Himalayas lies the extremely cold interior of Asia. So during winter, cold winds originate from the northern regions. If there were no Himalayas, these extremely cold continental winds could easily enter India. The Himalayas act like a climate shield. They are shield. Those mountains are shield to our country. They are blocking cold winds. So they prevent the cold winds from entering the Indian subcontinent. Therefore, compared to places at similar latitudes, India experiences relatively warmer winters. Okay. So So what is the next function? The next one is they block and force monsoon winds to rise. So during summer, the monsoon winds enter India carrying moisture. So the Himalayas act as a barrier. So the winds cannot easily move further north. So they are forced to rise. As moist air rises, it cools, right? It cools. Water vapor condenses, and clouds will be formed. Rainfall occurs. Finally, rainfall occurs. So therefore, the Himalayas help produce rainfalls over the northern plains. It's very important. Okay, the Himalayas block cold northern winds. It prevents monsoon winds from escaping northward. Force moisture air to rise. Help produce rainfall. Okay. Now let us see what is distribution of land and water. Distribution of land and water. Okay. So India is surrounded by water on three sides. In the west side we have Arabian Sea. On the east we have Bay of Bengal. South में we have Indian Oceans, and there is a huge landmass to the north. Okay. Now land and water heat differently, right? Land heats quickly during summer. Land becomes hot quickly. Okay. And this creates low pressure over the land. Alright. During summer, land low pressure over the land. Okay. And water heats slowly. The ocean remains comparatively cooler. Therefore, pressure over the ocean is relatively higher. Okay. Water, high pressure, relatively high pressure. And so winds move, air moves from high pressure to low pressure, right? It means from ocean, the winds move from oceans to land. Okay. So these moisture laden winds bring the southwest monsoon. Remember. So chalo, you have seen summer, right? So let us see what happens in winter. So in winter the land cools quickly, right? The land cools very quickly. In winter, land cools very quickly. And here high pressure will be developed. Okay. And winds move land to ocean. This is the basic reason for the seasonal reversal of winds. That is monsoon. Okay. So remember, summer land heats rapidly and winter land cools rapidly. Okay. And in summer low pressure over land and high pressure over land in winter. And in summer winds move sea to land, and in winter from land to sea. So this is the foundation of monsoon system. Okay. So what else we have? Let us see this concept, distance from the sea. So this is extremely important for understanding cities like Mumbai and Delhi. You know these coastal areas. So the sea heats and cools slowly, therefore it moderates temperature. This is called moderating influence of the sea. So the sea heats and cools slowly, both. Therefore, it moderates temperature. Okay. For example, Mumbai and Konkan coast, they both experience less extreme summers, less extreme winters, smaller annual temperature regions. Okay. And coastal areas we have done. We will learn about interior areas. Okay. So places far from the sea do not receive moderating influence. Therefore, they experience very hot summers. Okay. Very hot summer, very cold winter. Okay. For example, Delhi, Kanpur, Amritsar. So these places experience more extreme climatic conditions. Okay. So the ocean act like a natural air conditioner and heater. Just remember. So in summer it prevents the coast from becoming too hot. In winter it prevents the coast from becoming too cold. It's that simple. Let us see the other factor, that is altitude. Altitude. Already this is also we have discussed. Okay. So temperature decreases with increasing altitude. Remember this. Temperature decreases with increasing altitude. So why this statement is correct? As we go higher, air becomes thinner. As we go higher, air becomes thinner. Okay? And thin air is less capable of absorbing and retaining heat. And this thin air less capable, right? Less capable of absorbing and retaining heat. Okay? Therefore, higher places are cooler. Higher places are generally cooler. Okay? So examples: Agra, Darjeeling. Both are located approximately at the same latitude. But Agra, the temperature will be around 16 degree in January, and Darjeeling it's around 4 degrees centigrade. So why Darjeeling is much cooler? Because Darjeeling is at much higher altitude. So latitude is similar, but altitude is different. Okay? Therefore, temperature is different. So very important line you have to note, that latitude explains horizontal variation in temperature. Horizontal variation in temperature. But whereas altitude explains vertical variation in temperature. Just remember. Okay. Now let us see the other concept, that is relief or physiography. I mean to say relief. Relief means the physical features of the land. Okay. Relief means physical features of the land. Physical features of the land. For example, mountains, plateaus, plain, valleys, and relief affect temperature, air pressure, direction of winds. I'll write so that you can note it down. What are the examples for this? Mountains, we have plateaus, plains, and we have valleys. Okay? And these will affect temperature. Okay? The relief feature will affect temperature, air pressure, and direction of wind, and speed of wind, and what else we have? Amount of rainfall, and distribution of rainfall. Chalo. So there is one more concept I have to discuss here, that what is windward and leeward. What are these two terms? What is this two? Windward side or leeward side? Okay? Suppose moist wind approach a mountain, side facing the wind. It means windward side, the air is forced to rise. Okay? It cools and produces heavy rainfall. Windward side. Remember, windward side, air is forced to rise. Okay? And it cools and produces heavy rainfall. Heavy rainfall. And what is the other one? That is leeward. That means opposite side. Leeward. Leeward side. If you have any doubt regarding this, you can ask me in comment. Okay. Here the air descends, right? The air descends, and it becomes warmer. It becomes warmer and drier. Okay. Therefore, the leeward side receives less rainfall. It receives less rainfall. Simple. So think of like here, if this will be the windward side, this will be the leeward side. It receives very low rainfall. It receives very high rainfall. So both receive rainfall, but comparatively difference. Okay. So this creates a rain shadow region. Okay. So example, Western Ghats is the best example. The southwest monsoon wind approached the Western Ghats from the Arabian Sea, and the western side receives heavy rainfall. But after crossing the Western Ghats, the winds descend on the eastern side. The eastern side receives much less rainfall. Therefore, Western Ghats, heavy rainfall on windward side. Deccan Plateau, comparatively dry rain shadow region. So this is a very important geographical relationship. Okay, let's go. Let's go. The other one is, there is one more important concept, that is the ITCZ. What is this? Intertropical Convergence Zone. Intertropical Convergence Zone. Now we reach one of the most important concept in the entire chapter. Don't worry, we will call back every example and understand it slowly. So what is ITCZ? The Intertropical Convergence Zone is a zone of low pressure. Okay, it's a zone of low pressure near the equator, where trade winds converge. So break the name. Let us break the name. Intertropical. It means between the tropics. Okay. What is convergence? Convergence means coming together. Zone means, what is zone? Zone is a region or belt. Okay. So ITCZ is a low pressure belt where wind converge. This is a ITCZ. This is where the wind converge. They'll come together. Okay. So why does it shift? Now the position of ITCZ changes with the apparent movement of the sun. In summer, the sun appears to move northward. The landmass of India becomes intensely heated. So the ITCZ shift northward. Summer, ITCZ shifts to northward. Okay. In July, it may shift to around 20 to 25 degrees north altitude over Ganga plain. Just remember. So this is called monsoon trough. What is this? In summer, ITCZ, this intertropical convergence zone shifts to northward. In July, it may shift to around 20 to 25 degree north latitude over the Ganga plain. That is called monsoon trough. Then what happens in winter? So in winter, ITCZ, it shifts southward. ठीक है. Thus the winds also reverse. ठीक है. The winds also reverse. The northeast monsoon develop. Here the northeast monsoon develops. ठीक है. So remember the sequence: IT, CZ and monsoon. This is a simple chain. ठीक है. So in summer sun moves northward, right? India hits strongly, pressure decreases. ठीक है. I'll write wait. In summer sun moves northward. ठीक है. And India hits strongly. ठीक है. Here pressure decreases. Here ITCZ, this tropical zone, shift northward. It will shift northward. Here trade winds, ठीक है. Trade winds, it will cross the equator. ठीक है. It's raining outside, so trade winds cross the equator. So due to there is a force that is called Coriolis force. ठीक है. Or Coriolis or whatever it is. There has been different pronunciation, but I generally call it as a Coriolis or Coriolis, whatever it is. Coriolis force. ठीक है. That is deflected. So southwest monsoon develops. Southwest monsoon develops here. It will develop here. ठीक है. So this is the basic mechanism. ठीक है. Now let's connect everything. So why does India have a monsoon? Because latitude. It creates differential heating. ठीक है. And land and water, heat and cool at different rates. Himalayas, they block cold winds and force monsoon winds to rise. What is ITCZ? It shifts seasonally. Okay? And what is relief? It controls the direction and distribution of the rainfall. And we have also discussed regarding distances from the sea. That creates coastal and continental climatic differences. And what is altitude? Because of altitude, it causes temperature to decrease with height. ठीक है. So Indian climate is not controlled by one factor. It is the combined result of latitude, altitude, pressure and wind systems, distances from the sea, ocean currents and relief features. So and the most important conceptual connection is differential heating, pressure differences and then wind movement, seasonal reversal and then monsoon. ठीक है. So what is latitude? Tropic of Cancer divides India into tropical and subtropical regions. Himalayas block cold winds, force monsoon winds to rise. ठीक है. Land and water, different heating rates create pressure differences and distances from the sea. Coastal areas have moderate climates. And what is altitude? Temperature decreases with height. Relief, control, wind direction and rainfall distribution. ठीक है. What is ITCZ? It's a low pressure zone where trade winds converge and its seasonal movement is crucial for the monsoon. ठीक है. So just remember this memory trick. LH LDARI. What is this? Latitude, Himalayas, land and water, distances from the sea, altitude, relief, ITCZ. So these are the major factors determining the India's climate. So yeah, now let us learn about the other topic, that is the nature of the Indian monsoon. The nature of the Indian monsoon. The nature of the Indian monsoon. So now we have understood the factors that control India's climate. Okay? But now we need to answer the most important question. How does the Indian monsoon actually begin? Now, why does the wind suddenly change direction? Why does rain suddenly arrive? Why does it sometimes stop raining in the middle of the monsoon season? And how can an event thousands of kilometers away in the Pacific Ocean influence Indian rainfall? Let's build the mechanism step by step. So, let's start from the most basic principle. In summer, during summer, the sun's apparent movement towards the north, right? So the Indian landmass heats intensely, especially Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, and Ganga plain, right? So the land becomes extremely hot. Hot air rises. When air rises, pressure at the surface decreases. Therefore, low pressure develops over the Indian subcontinent. At the same time, the surrounding ocean is relatively cooler. Therefore, higher pressure exists over the ocean compared to the land. ठीक है. Low pressure, low pressure on Indian subcontinent, and relatively higher pressure or high pressure exists over the ocean. ठीक है. Now remember, the fundamental rule is wind moves from higher to lower. Wind move from higher pressure to low pressure. ठीक है. But where does the moisture come from? The winds travel over the Indian Ocean. They absorb huge amounts of moisture. Then they enter the Indian subcontinent. So these are the southwest monsoon winds. These are the southwest monsoon winds. Southwest monsoon winds. Now let us see the other topic, that is, why do winds come from the southwest? Why do winds come from the southwest? This is an important question. So remember, at the first, the wind in the southern hemisphere are generally southeast trade winds. They move towards equator. Okay? Because of the low pressure over India, they cross the equator. Once they cross the equator, the earth rotation causes them to be deflected. So this deflection is called Coriolis force. Okay? Or Coriolis force, whatever it is. Coriolis force. So in the northern hemisphere, moving air is deflected toward the right. Okay? Therefore, southeast trade winds cross the equator. They get deflected right. It becomes southwesterly winds. Okay? So, okay. So this is what the shift, and why does wind come from the southwest. I just explained very briefly so that you can understand. Okay? Now there is one more concept, that is the role of Tibetan plateau. The role of Tibetan plateau. Okay? So this is a very important part. So the Tibetan plateau is huge elevated landmass. Okay? During summer, it becomes intensely heated. It acts almost like a massive elevated heat source. So the air above the plateau becomes hot and rises. So this strengthens the low pressure system over the region. These help draw in moist air from the ocean. So therefore, heating of the Tibetan plateau strengthens the summer monsoon circulation. Okay? So there is one more important concept, that is jet streams. Jet streams. What is this new concept? A jet stream is a narrow band of very fast moving wind in the upper atmosphere. Okay? It is a narrow band of very fast moving winds. Very fast moving winds in the upper atmosphere. Okay? So they occur at higher altitudes. They can influence weather systems, pressure patterns, monsoon circulation. For the Indian monsoon, two jet streams are especially important. Okay? So one is subtropical westerly jet stream. The other one is the tropical easterly jet stream. Just remember. So ठीक है. So there is one more concept, that is onset of the monsoon. Onset of the monsoon. ठीक है. So now let's understand what actually happens. So before the monsoon, during April and May, temperature increases, land heats strongly, low pressure intensifies, moisture accumulates over the ocean, atmospheric circulation changes, and the entire system is preparing for the monsoon. That is called onset of the monsoon. So the southwest monsoon normally reaches Kerala, around beginning of June. So then it advances towards Mumbai, Kolkata, northern India. So the entire country is generally covered by the monsoon by mid-July. ठीक है. So yeah, so that is what the onset of the monsoon. And what is monsoon variability? Now one important fact, that the monsoon is not extremely the same every year. ठीक है. Some years rainfall is very high, other years rainfall is below normal. This is called monsoonal variability. Just remember, these can lead to flood, drought, what else, crop failure, water shortages, economic problems. So therefore monsoon prediction is extremely important for India. ठीक है. So there is one more concept, that is El Nino and the Indian monsoon. El Nino and the Indian monsoon. ठीक है. What is this? So tropical Pacific Ocean. In the normal condition, the Pacific Ocean has particular pattern of sea surface temperatures, atmospheric pressure, trade winds. But sometimes the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean becomes unusually warm. ठीक है. And that phenomenon is called El Nino. ठीक है. Important for UPSC. So try to understand. ठीक है. Now there is a doubt that how can the Pacific affect India? The atmosphere is a connected system. When the Pacific Ocean becomes unusually warm, atmospheric pressure patterns change. Trade winds may weaken or change. Convection and cloud formation shift. What else? Global atmospheric circulation is distributed, and these can affect the Indian monsoon. So in many cases, El Nino is associated with a weaker Indian monsoon. ठीक है. But remember carefully, El Nino does not guarantee drought in India every single time. So the relationship is complex. So other factors also influence the Indian monsoon. So remember this. ठीक है. So let us see the 4 seasons of India. The four seasons of India. The 4 seasons of India. What are those? What are those? Now let us understand. We have understood about monsoon, how monsoon develops. The next question is, how does India's climate change throughout the year? So India's climate can be divided into 4 seasons. ठीक है. All right. The first one is cold weather season. Cold weather season, it will be during December to February. ठीक है. February. The second one is hot weather season. ठीक है. That will be during March to May. ठीक है. The third one is southwest monsoon season. Southwest monsoon season, this will be June to September. And the last one is retreating. ठीक है. Retreating or northeast monsoon season. ठीक है. And these will be around October to November. ठीक है. Let us understand all of these 4 seasons in detail. ठीक है. चलो. The first one is cold weather season. ठीक है. It's raining outside, so just Just bear with the background noise. So these will be around December to February, right? So why is January generally colder than June? Because the sun's apparent position changes during the year. During winter, the sun's rays are more direct over the southern hemisphere, remember, and northern India receives less heating. So December and January are generally the coldest months in the northern India. Why? Because the sun is farther south. Northern India receives less solar heating. The land cools rapidly, but temperature are not the same everywhere. Okay. So northern India much cooler. Remember, northern India much cooler and southern India comparatively warmer. Okay. It is because southern India is closer to the equator. It is also surrounded by the sea on three sides. Therefore, it has more moderate climate. Okay. Now, let's understand the atmospheric system. During winter, land cools faster than the surrounding sea. Okay. Over the northern India, high pressure develops, and over the Indian Ocean, relatively low pressure. Okay. I have already told you, land generally winds generally move from land to sea. Okay. So, and there will be other things. Okay. There will be other things also. I'll tell. So, so this is the cold weather season. It's a very simple definition you have. So the second one is hot weather season. I'm not going very deeply because this is not that much important. So just remember, hot weather season generally occur March to May. Okay. And now sun appears to move northward. Okay. The northern Indian landmass begins heating rapidly, so temperature rise. Okay. So air becomes warmer and rises, surface pressure decreases, so therefore a low pressure area develops. Okay. So now we came to a famous summer phenomena that is called Lu. What is Lu? Lu is a strong, hot and dry wind. It's a strong, hot, dry wind. It blows over the northern plains during the summer. Just remember, it is especially common in Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar. Okay. The Lu can be dangerous because temperatures are extremely high. The air is dry. It can cause heat-related illness. Okay. So it is very dangerous. So what else we have? There are I'll just say orally regarding local summer storms. Before the main monsoon arrives, many parts of India receive local storms. So these are important because they provide pre-monsoon rainfall. So try to find out what is mango showers, what is blossom showers, what is nor'westers or kal baisakhi. Okay. Try to find out them. Try to learn about that. Okay. Now the other one is southwest monsoon season. Southwest monsoon season, and this is during June to September. Now the main rainy season begins. By May, land is extremely hot. Okay. Low pressure is very strong. The IT season shift northward. Moisture-laden winds are ready to enter. Around early June, the southwest monsoon reaches Kerala. We have discussed. Okay. So the monsoon divides into two branches. Okay. The monsoon divides into two branches. One is Arabian Sea branch. Okay. It moves towards western India. The other one is Bay of Bengal branch. Okay, what is this? it, in this, it moves towards eastern and northeastern India. So we'll study detailed path in part in the next up I mean in the next coming part. So just remember right now. So yeah, we have discussed southwest monsoon season. There is one more season left, that is the retreating retreating monsoon season. That is generally around October to November. Okay. So now, after September, the sun begins moving southward. The land starts cooling. Whenever I say points, just write it down because I don't have that much time to write. So I'm just dictating. Okay. So the land starts cooling. So the low pressure area weakens. The southwest monsoon begins withdrawing. So this is called retreat of southwest monsoon. Okay. Why is October hot? So this is a common student question. After the monsoon retreats, skies become clearer, temperature rise again. The ground remains wet, humidity remains high. Okay. And so people experience hot plus humid conditions. So this uncomfortable weather is called October heat. So imagine standing outside after rain. The ground is wet, the sun comes out, water evaporates, the air becomes hot and humid, and that is essentially the experience of October heat. So remember, okay. So what is northeast monsoon? It's very simple. Winds begin moving from northeast to southwest, and these winds are called northeast monsoon winds. Okay. So initially these winds are relatively dry because they originate over land. However, they when they cross the Bay of Bengal, they absorb moisture. Okay. So then they bring rainfall to Tamil Nadu and southeastern Andhra Pradesh, parts of southern India, example. Okay. So there is other question. Why does Tamil Nadu get winter rainfall? Okay. So Tamil Nadu receives a major portion of its annual rainfall during October to December. So due to this only, Tamil Nadu get winter rainfall. Okay. So yeah, there is one more concept, that is cyclones during retreating monsoon. The Bay of Bengal is particularly active during October to November. So tropical cyclones can develop over the Bay of Bengal. So these may affect Odisha, Arunachal Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and the cyclones can cause heavy rainfall, strong winds. The Coromandel coast is especially important in this context. So just try to remember. Okay. So we have completed that, and what else we have? We have discussed about the Arabian Sea branch, Bay of Bengal branch, and then we have discussed about rain shadow region. Imagine there are two sides, right? Try to recall that. So what else we have? There are other questions. We have also discussed that also. So what else we have? So TK. So this is what the fourth chapter. So yeah, I hope I completed every concept from basic to the NCERT level. So what else we have? I'm just recalling everything. What if I can? If I have to cover anything else, there is the monsoon and India's economic life. So the monsoon is the axis around which the entire agriculture cycle of India revolves. We have know this. Why? Because Indian agriculture is highly dependent on rainfall. So the arrival of monsoon determines sowing, crop growth, water availability, harvesting. Okay. If monsoon is normal, adequate rainfall is there, good crop production is there, better rural income is there, positive economic activity. If monsoon is weak, less rainfall, drought, crop failure, water shortage, economic stress is there. If monsoon is excessive, too much rainfall, floods, crop damage is there, infrastructure damage. So the monsoon must not only arrive, its timing, amount, and distribution are all are important. Remember. Okay. So the monsoon affect much more than agriculture. It will affect hydroelectric power, drinking water, and what else we have: groundwater recharge, rural employment, food prices, transport, industry, government expenditure. Okay. So for example, suppose the monsoon is weak. Let's consider farmers produce less food. Then food prices may increase, rural incomes may fall, demand for goods may decrease. Water reservoirs may not fill properly. So monsoon variability can affect the entire economy. Okay. So remember, there will be other concept. I'm not going to discuss that much over here, but I'm just give you overview about this. I'm going to discuss it very briefly later. That is warming global warming and climate change. ठीक है, right? तो both climate change. ठीक है. So the earth's climate is changing. ठीक है. One major reason is increasing concentration of global warming. So what are the important greenhouse gases? Important greenhouse gases. What are the important greenhouse gases? CO2, carbon dioxide, methane, CH4, nitrous oxide, N2O, and what else we have? Chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs. So yeah, these are the reasons behind the global warming. So what about the greenhouse effect? I know most of you know this, but I'll just give you this explanation by taking an example. So let's understand. So the sun sends energy to earth. Okay? And the sun sends energy to the earth, and the earth absorbs some of this energy. Okay? And the earth then radiates heat back towards space. Okay? Certain gases in the atmosphere absorb some of this outgoing heat. So this is called greenhouse effect. So the natural greenhouse effect is necessary for life. Without it, Earth would be much cooler. But human activities have increased the concentration of greenhouse gases, and this enhances the greenhouse effect. So this is called enhanced greenhouse effect, and this leads to global warming. Okay. So sources of greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide. For carbon dioxide, there are reasons like I'll just dictate so that you can write. The main sources are burning coal, petroleum, natural gas, deforestation, industrial activity. And for methane it will be agriculture, livestock, wetlands, waste, decomposition. For nitrous oxide, agriculture practices, fertilizer use, industrial activities. What else we have? We have CFCs, the chlorofluorocarbons. They are historically associated with, remember this, refrigeration, air conditioning, aerosols. Remember, so they are also associated with ozone depletion, ozone layer depletion. Okay. So what are the possible impact of global warming? Global warming can lead to rising temperature. Global warming can lead to rising temperature. I'll just write, melting glaciers. Okay. Average temperature increase. Melting glacier means glaciers may shrink. This can initially increase water flow, but eventually threaten long-term water availability. And what else? Rising sea levels, and as ice melt, ocean water warms and expands, sea level rises. So this threatens coastal regions. For India, this is particularly important because we have long coastline, coastal cities are there, deltas, islands. So there will be impact on agriculture. Okay. Changing temperature and rainfall can affect crop yielding, growing seasons, water availability, and impact on diseases, impact on agriculture, impact on diseases. Yes, changes in temperature and rainfall can influence the distribution of diseases and the disease vectors such as mosquitoes. And what else we have? Ecosystem changes. Okay, species may be forced to migrate, adapt, decline. So all of these are possible. They are the possible impact of global change, global change. Global change, global warming. Okay. So we have completed the chapter. So India is a large country with considerable variation in temperature, rainfall, and its climate is broadly monsoonal because winds reverse seasonally. Okay. The Indian climate is controlled by latitude, the Himalayas, that is the distribution of land and water, distance from the sea, altitude, relief, and the movement of ITCZ. During summer, differential heating creates low pressure over the Indian landmass. Moisture laden winds cross the equator and becomes the southwest monsoon. Okay. These winds enter through the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal branches and produce highly variable rainfall. So India experiences four major seasons. The monsoon, is central to agriculture and therefore is the economy. However, the global warming and climate change pose major future challenges. ठीक है, all of these are, we have learned. So ठीक है. So is there anything left for us? Yes, we have completed monsoon winds. Yes, we have completed that. So you have to also read the chapter so that you will get some of the interesting points I missed. Okay. Always complete the chapter before watching the lecture, because this lecture is going to brief the chapter. Okay, remember, for the points, for the important points for the UPSC mains or prelims, you need to read the chapter and make notes. Okay. So that's about the fourth chapter. See you in the next class with the fifth chapter. Until then, Jai Hind.